You know that feeling, right? A message from a friend pops up, they're asking for a favor, and instead of feeling happy to help, you get this quiet sense of dread. You're just so tired, you're completely overwhelmed, but saying no feels like it's just not an option. Well, if that sounds even a little familiar, you are definitely not alone. And it turns out that feeling isn't some kind of personal failure. It's actually an alarm bell signaling this massive, hidden shift in how we all connect with each other. Okay, let's get into it. This quote right here, it just nails a feeling that honestly so many of us are having. But here's the thing that almost no one is talking about: why it's happening. It's not because we're suddenly becoming bad friends. It's because the actual foundation of our social lives has completely changed. And just understanding that change, that's the first step to figuring all this out. So where is all this pressure even coming from? Well, the story really starts with the disappearance of something that sociologists actually have a special name for. And it's the key to this whole puzzle. And here it is, the third place. The easiest way to think about these as the informal public living rooms of our society. You know, they're the neutral ground where community just happens. It's not your home, it's not your work, it's that essential place in between. It's a really simple framework, but once you see it, it explains so much about why we're all feeling so lonely. And the scale of this problem is just staggering. I mean, look at this number. Between 2014 and 2019, and this is before the pandemic kicked everything into overdrive, the amount of time Americans spent with their friends just plummeted by 37%. That's not a small dip. It's a huge, invisible crisis happening in our social lives, and it's tied directly to the fact that these third places are disappearing. So the thing to really get here is that these places aren't just, nice to have. They are absolutely essential. They're what people call levelers, right? Places where it doesn't matter what your job title is or how much money you make. They're where we build those easy, low-stakes connections with people, the kind that are actually proven to make us healthier and feel like we belong. Without them, the whole foundation of a healthy community just starts to fall apart. So, okay, what happens when those public living rooms all vanish? Well, all that social weight, all that need for connection, it has to go somewhere. And it's landing right on the shoulders of our private, one-on-one friendships. And all of a sudden, every single friendship is expected to be this one-stop shop for everything we need. We expect our friends to be our therapists, our social secretaries, our emergency contacts, all rolled into one person. And that is an absolutely impossible burden. It's no wonder we feel so drained. And this is exactly why setting boundaries isn't some selfish act. It's a straight-up survival tactic in today's world. And look, a boundary doesn't have to be this big, harsh confrontation. A script just like this one is a really gentle, respectful way to protect your own energy. You start with something positive. I really value our conversations. And then you just clearly state what you need. It's a really safe and practical way to handle things without starting a fight. Now, for anyone who likes a clear, doable plan, here is a super simple framework you can use. It's called the SAFE method. First, be specific about what you need. Then, assert it calmly and confidently. Make it fair by showing you still respect them. And finally, and this is key, you have to enforce it consistently. It's a really straightforward, step-by-step guide to get your needs met without all the guilt. Okay, but here's where things get really interesting. Because in response to all this pressure, people are getting incredibly creative. We're going to explore this hidden world about friendships are being completely reinvented from the ground up. And this chart just shows the evolution perfectly. Over on the left, you've got your traditional friendship, based on unspoken rules, you just hang out when you can. But on the right, you see something totally new emerging, the platonic life partnership. This is where a deep friendship becomes a person's primary life partnership, often with really explicit agreements about everything: finances, where you live, even raising children together. And as these relationships are changing, this whole new vocabulary is popping up to describe them. Honestly, if you know what a squish or a zucchini is, you are way ahead of the curve. This is the new language of connection. It's being built by people who are literally writing their own rule books for how to belong to one another. Now, for all the strategists watching, this breaks down the really deep thinking behind this shift. A lot of these new friendships are moving away from being like a contract, which is transactional, it's focused on me and you, and they're moving toward being a covenant. A covenant is all about us. It's a deep moral commitment that's based on mutual responsibility, not just on what you can get out of it. It's a promise, not just a transaction. And you won't believe how formalized some of these bonds are getting. I mean, some of these incredibly deep platonic relationships now have actual legal documents, like a relationship NDA, just to protect the vulnerable things they share with each other. This isn't about business, it's about creating a legally recognized safe space for their emotional intimacy. It's wild. So we've gotten really intentional about our private friendships. But what about the public spaces, the thing that started this whole mess in the first place? Well, the great reinvention is happening there too. We're finally starting to see the intentional rebuilding of our modern third places. And this has led to a brand new concept, the people's house. This is a direct answer to that crisis we were talking about. These are spaces that are intentionally designed, often with a lot of technology, to literally function as society's living room. They are being built for the sole purpose of fostering that casual connection we've lost. And this isn't just a theory. Check this out. There's a brand new, cutting-edge museum in Washington, D.C. that is a perfect real-world example of this whole idea. It's massive, it's completely free to visit, and its whole mission is to turn this symbol of power into a shared space for the community. But what's really incredible is how they're doing it. This is not some stuffy, don't touch anything kind of museum. You can actually go and sit in a full-scale replica of the Oval Office. You can take part in a cabinet room simulation and vote on how to handle a major historical crisis. The whole thing is built for you to interact, to engage, and to create a shared experience with the people around you. So the main point here is that the goal isn't just to entertain you for an afternoon. Like Stuart McLaurin from the White House Historical Association says, the deeper purpose is to actually rebuild our sense of a shared civic identity. It's about using this new kind of space to remind all of us that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. And that really leaves us with this one last powerful question to think about. We're getting incredibly good at being intentional about the promises we make to each other in our private lives. We're writing friendship contracts, we're forming these deep covenants. But as we're rebuilding connection one-on-one, what promises, what covenants are we forgetting to make to our communities and to our public spaces too?
If this touched your heart, please subscribe, like, and share it with your family. Save this for more meaningful content ahead.